Consider this. What if everything you've been taught about humility is actually what's stifling your potential? Envision a scenario where a burgeoning entrepreneur confidently enters a polished boardroom, laptop at the ready, heart beating with assurance. With months of dedication behind him, he's poised to unveil his transformative idea, every nuance finely tuned. Yet, as he begins, he encounters quiet nods and gentle distractions. Perhaps we should hear from someone with more seasoned experience, they offer. Each attempt to assert himself is met with reminders to let the experience speak first. By the conclusion of the meeting, his idea is praised in theory and seamlessly adopted as a collaborative effort by a senior executive. Fast forward months later, the same entrepreneur returns. This time, he unapologetically cuts through discussions, waiting for the crescendo of marketing debates to present his idea succinctly. It isn't a larger budget we need, it's a more daring story. Silence envelops the room. Attention focuses on him. That singular moment of clarity allows him to reclaim his idea, garner full support, and elevate his venture from fledgling to formidable disruptor. This wasn't mere luck or confidence, but deliberate intention. He realized that fewer words can wield greater impact than constant chatter, that strategic timing magnifies influence beyond simple volume. Today, you're on the brink of learning the mental framework behind such decisive actions, a knowledge that sees beyond mere courtesy and taps into the real currency of influence. Ahead, we'll uncover how the guise of virtue may confine you to passivity, explore how the wise use silence with precision, and share narratives of leaders throughout history who mastered the art of detachment to command true authority. Ultimately, you'll grasp precisely when to articulate your thoughts, what insights to unveil, and how to cultivate the mindset of someone inherently destined for leadership. Up next, unraveling the subtle snare of conventional virtues, and why humility could be precisely what's preventing you from commanding the room. You've been taught that humility, fairness, and equality are virtues, but what if they are nothing more than gilded shackles? Picture a young Renaissance courtier in Florence, eager to make his mark despite coming from a modest lineage. He deferred to all in the court, speaking only when prompted and lavishing praise on every noble suggestion. His deference garnered him compliments, so respectful, so agreeable, but never power. Meanwhile, as he quietly awaited his turn, a rival whispered doubts about his ambition to the Duke and quietly usurped his spot beside power. This isn't just an old anecdote, it's a recurring pattern. Every time you soften your voice, apologize preemptively, or silently watch your ideas fade, you're training others to overlook your voice. You become invisible, a mere placeholder, until someone bolder steps in. Genuine power never graces those who shrink. It belongs to those who recognize submission isn't synonymous with virtue. Reflect. Have you ever subdued a vital point out of fear of treading on toes? Tempered your words to avoid offending? If so, you've stumbled into the common trap, believing submission is noble, when in reality, it grants the permission to be bypassed. Liberation begins when you recognize humility as a facade of weakness, and true influence emerges from refusing to blend into oblivion. They've taught you that humility, fairness, and equality are virtues, but what if they are nothing more than gilded shackles? Imagine a young courtier in Renaissance Florence, born to modest means yet eager to please. He began each day at the ducal palace, bowing so low that his forehead touched the stone. His words were few, deferential, always extolling others' ideas. While dubbed respectful and agreeable, he was seldom labeled powerful. Meanwhile, behind sealed doors, his silent watching allowed lesser talents with louder voices to command the center of every decision. One evening, a feast revealed his fate, a confidant's low murmur. He shows no ambition. Why trust him who lacks self-assurance? By dawn, reassigned to a remote outpost, his once favored post stealthily taken by a more audacious figure. His humility was his undoing. This isn't merely a dusty tale from the past. It's a reality faced all around. You've likely moderated your tone in meetings to avoid disturbing harmony, withheld sterling ideas fearing arrogance, or nodded through dissent to avoid being labeled that person. With each self-edit, you're informing the room your voice is inconsequential, leaving a vacuum for someone louder. Power isn't bestowed upon those who retreat. It's seized by those who comprehend submission isn't tantamount to virtue. The peasant pleads for harmony, the sovereign crafts it. The peasant seeks approval, the monarch writes his decree. If you've ever held back a pivotal point to spare emotions, or prefaced every thought with, "Sorry, just an idea," you're ensnared in the peasant's trap, confusing deference with nobility when it's really a route to insignificance. To break free, recognize humility not as an accolade, but a mask concealing your prowess. Strip away that facade. Speak with intent, rhythm, and accuracy. Assert your ideas before another claims them. For the moment you decline to vanish, you compel acknowledgement, and therein lies the initial step towards genuine influence. Next, we'll explore the distinct mindset of rulers, how they manipulate perception through mastery of revelation, and crucially, concealment. They instruct you to see the world as it is, believing what you observe is all there is. However, such literal thinking becomes a snare. Picture a fog-laden dawn on an ancient battlefield. Enemy scouts glimpse your campfires flaring against the chill, presuming your forces prepared for confrontation, and blunder into the cleared valley. At the critical moment, your concealed regiments emerge silently, encircling them. What appeared weakness was deft trickery. That's peasant thought against sovereign thought. The peasant accepts appearances, the sovereign fabricates the illusion. Power isn't gauged by the sword wielded, but by the narrative others are made to believe. Control over what people perceive determines their emotions and their reactions. In meetings, do you divulge every detail, convince transparency fosters trust? Or do you reveal just an outline, letting curiosity and doubt operate in your favor? Literal thinkers show their hand, strategic thinkers shroud theirs. By disclosing just enough to shape expectations, while keeping true intentions concealed, you press others to fill gaps with their guesses. Those guesses become the leverage needed. Commanding perception means discerning when to illuminate and when to obscure. It's the art of planting a spark and allowing imagination to stoke it into fear, awe, or admiration, without uttering a word further. They say clarity is noble, but clarity unveils vulnerability. Picture J. Edgar Hoover of the 1930s, seated in his dim FBI office, files reaching the ceiling. He never needed to threaten a senator. His silence sufficed. It was understood that Hoover's quiet assent signaled favor, while his enigmatic gaze signaled downfall. No one dared defy him, aware of the potential secrets he possessed. Over-disclosure signals weakness. By divulging every detail, you provide others with ammunition. While you believe you're nurturing trust by sharing your scheme, you're in fact forfeiting your advantage. Mystery serves as leverage. The less others know, the greater their wariness of your potential actions. Reflect on your own correspondences and presentations. Have you ever crafted an exhaustive 50-slide deck to explore every facet, only to have decision-makers dismiss the minutiae? Now envisage sending a 2-sentence thesis so captivating they can't cease questioning. You've transformed scarcity into allure, and allure is magnetic. Silence acts as a deft blade in your mastery. Deploy it to punctuate your pronouncements, deliver a compelling line, then pause. Let the room swell with emptiness, observing as others scramble to deduce your meaning. Their speculation becomes your leverage, populating gaps with possibilities you've not pronounced. True sway arises from mastering the tension betwixt disclosure and reservation. Each unanswered query becomes a magnet drawing attention your way. So resist the impulse to clarify, resist the urge to justify. Let silence reverberate louder than any rationale. Within that echo, you'll unearth your most formidable power. In every dominion, loyalty rarely emerges intrinsic. It's rented, purchased, or coerced into place. Recall the Roman Empire. Caesar commanded legions, not through endearment, but by sustaining them, remitting pay, and promising war bounties. The moment that ceased, so too ended their loyalty. Brutus wasn't innately unfaithful. Circumstances transformed him. Numerous individuals persist believing if they're sufficiently competent, kind, or beneficial. The expectation that kindness alone can cement unwavering loyalty is a slender illusion. When your utility wanes, so does the fidelity of others. Not because they're nefarious, but because they're shrewd. Witness it yourself. Uplift someone. Defend them when no one else would, only for them to vanish once they flourish. The stark reality is that most bonds are pragmatic. People linger as long as you fulfill a need. Once you cease to do so, they drift away, often silently. Thus, the strategy is this: forge loyalty with shared objectives, not mere emotions. Document your contributions. Ensure that your victories are mutual, your bargaining chips secure, and your influence not dispensed unconditionally. Be generous, yet remain cognizant. Offer kindness, but with defined limits. Recall that your worth isn't in your sacrifices, but in your irreplaceability. That is the loyalty that endures turbulence. That is the loyalty befitting a sovereign. Some may tell you authenticity is sufficient, yet true leaders are tempered through trials. Picture the glowing forge of a blacksmith at midnight. Raw iron's value isn't in its initial state. It's molded, hammered, and burned until it evolves. Such is the world's trial for those who aspire to ascend. It does not laud gentleness, but assays your resilience. Consider this: betrayal is not an ending, but a commencement. When allies turn away, when the silence of a room greets your entrance, that is when the forging happens. Some falter, others sharpen. The distinction lies not in fortune, but in choice. Every revered individual you know was shaped by adversity. Mandela imprisoned, Malcolm on the stage, Jobs during exile. These were not constraints, but crucibles. While others sought respite, they evolved. They mastered perseverance in solitude, transmuted mortification into strategy, transformed rejection into insight. If your presence doesn't make the intimidated tremble, you haven't seized your potential. The silence others grant you, harness it. The cold receptions, etch them into memory. For when the weight of your crown feels palpable and opponents clamor, you'll reflect and realize the fire didn't consume you, it reinforced you. And that's when contentment emerges. While others struggled to navigate the world, you became its master. True strength isn't voicing opinions loudly, it's maintaining calm amidst chaos. Compare it to a poker game. The player with the weakest hand often triumphs. Why? Because he remains unfazed. Amidst the unease, perspiration, and feigned bravado of others, he projects tranquility. Such poise unnerves opponents and unravels their certainties. That is the moment their resolve crumbles. Mastery lies not in dominion over others, but in self-governance. When you enter a space, it's not chaos they should feel, but your equanimity. For the true power is found in mastering oneself. To be formidable, decelerate when the world accelerates. When markets tumble, teams falter, or plans disassemble, pause. That breath before you articulate, that's where power resides. In that silence, you extricate yourself from the clamorous, becoming the focus. Even during conflict, especially then, the composed man prevails. While anger lashes about, the serene calculates. He discerns vulnerability behind fury. When he acts, it's with precision, not emotion. Do not conflate calmness with passivity. Calmness is the unseen advantage. It's the lion's quiet confidence. Aware of his prowess, aware the jungle remembers him. To earn respect requires more than desire. It demands the cultivation of an aura that commands it. Respect isn't dispensed freely. It's fashioned from discomfort, cultivated when discipline trumps desire. Silence eclipses instinct. Clarity surpasses disorder. Picture the gym at dawn, lonely, unlit, void of accolades. Merely you and the resolve to persevere. Therein lies self-respect's genesis. And the world reflects this. People mirror your self-regard. Display yourself as a man of principle, and they will either ascend to meet them or depart. It's not arrogance, it's certainty. Regardless of approval, you continue, exuding an aura that declares, I comprehend my worth. And if you don't, it's your loss. Those who command respect do not shout. They do not beseech. They perform at a level others perceive yet can't define, reflected in their walk, their attentive listening, and their unwavering assertion of no. Ultimately, it's not popularity that distinguishes you, but indelibility. And those who recall you do so not for conformity, but for steadfastly holding your stature, even when others faltered under its weight. Genuine power is not derived from the battles fought, but from the battles evaded. Think of the ancient samurai, sages of patience and precision. They understood that charging into every skirmish led to downfall. Instead, they bided their time, surveying, computing, striking when assured of victory. Their discipline was not just corporeal, but mental. Many act impulsively, reacting to every slight, every provocation, but the sovereign withholds his ire. Reactivity cedes control. Every hastily uttered word relinquishes a fragment of your power. Consider your past. How often has conflict escalation led to regrets? How frequently have heated words wrought irreparable damage? The sovereign grasps that restraint is a formidable weapon. Selecting battles doesn't signify frailty, it signifies foresight. At times, the fortissimo move is withdrawal to observe and let adversaries unveil their genuine motives. When action is finally taken, it is unrelenting and definitive. Master this discipline, and you become an impregnable force. The world learns you are not to be trifled with. Your tranquility forms the inexorable core of a cyclone. Imagine if strength, kindness, and honesty as you understand them are illusions, crafted to diminish you. The world doesn't reward openness, it rewards shrewdness. Vulnerability isn't celebrated, it's leveraged. To elevate yourself, think like a sovereign, silently, strategically, unapologetically guarded. Kings are sculpted not by clamor but by stillness, not by seeking validation, but by exerting presence. Their maneuvers are lived, not elucidated. They eschew applause, allowing outcomes to resound. This metamorphosis is no simple endeavor. It requires solitude, discipline, and an acceptance of potential misinterpretation. Yet, it is the sole avenue to authentic power. When you control your mind, manage your reactions, and embrace silence, you render yourself an undeniable force. Ask yourself, are you prepared to abandon peasantry's societal codes? Are you prepared to construct your reign in obscurity, to maneuver with specificity, and to reign without justification? For with a sovereign mindset, the world yields to your mandate, quietly, inexorably, perpetually.